Shalom people, this is Brother Laos coming at you with another video. And I know it's been a minute since I made one, but what happened was my selfie stick broke and I had to purchase another one. Since my last video, a lot of stuff has transpired, some of which I want to briefly talk about. Okay, first I want to talk about the withdrawal from Afghanistan and what's going on at the Kabul airport. What we're seeing now is nothing new. What most people point back to is the Vietnam War, with the withdrawal that they had with, you know, so much chaos and death and everything, you know, and the demoralization of the American fighting forces that fought there from 1957 till 1975, because what a lot of people don't understand was we had forces over there in the mid-50s that were working with the French when they were fighting against the Viet Minh, as they were called back then before they became the Viet Cong. But anyway, in between 1975 and now, there have been other instances that something like this or similar to this has happened. We can remember the embassy incident in Tehran, Iran, in the 1970s and 80s, where the American hostages were being held almost like in a ransom by the newly formed Iranian government under the Ayatollah, and that the only way the American hostages were able to come out was they made a deal with Reagan, the Iran government, where when they said that they would give the hostages over, but not to Jimmy Carter, only to Reagan. And when Reagan won in the election, the hostages were released after being in there for a whole over a year. And also, we remember the failed rescue mission by I think it's a Desert Eagle Claw or whatever, where the Delta Force and some other military forces tried to go in there, and they was going to do a daring rescue, but because of weather problems and, you know, bad coordination in the desert, you know, I forgot how many American troops died, you know, trying to get in there and rescue them. And you know, that was the impetus for them to create the Joint Special Operations Command. And you know, then we think about the stuff that happened in Lebanon with the Marines at the Marine barrack, where that truck bomber was able to make it through the Marine sentries and blow up the barracks and killed over 200 Marines and other personnel. But even before that happened, while the Marines were in Lebanon, a lot of times they was not allowed, while they were supposedly guarding the U.S. Embassy and doing other operations, they was not allowed to fire back in at the different groups that were in fighting, but also was taking shots at American troops. They wasn't allowed to fire back, and you had, you know, onesies, twosies of Marines getting killed and wounded you know, and which actually, at one time I had thought about joining the Marine Corps before I joined the Army, because as many of you know, I was in the Army for 20 years. Half of that was in active duty. But I was gonna actually join the Marine Corps, but when I seen that stuff going on in Lebanon and they wasn't able to return fire, I said, nah, I don't think I want to be in no force. Well, you can't return fire at the enemy. Rules of engagement were crazy. But then we remember after they did the bombing of the Marine barracks, they had to pull out. You know, they had to pull out. Then in 1992, 93, we went into Somalia for humanitarian mission to feed the starving women and children of Somalia. And you know, you had we call them skinnies, technicals, the Somali technical fighters that were taking the food so that the UN was bringing in. We was tasked to guard that, keep it from them, to allow the people to get their country back on track. And I went there in 93. I was there from 93 to 94. And I left the beginning part of 94. And by 1995, we were pulling out of there. And it was so crazy. When we left, the Marines and naval personnel, who were the first ones to come on shore in the first place, when we first went there, when they left offshore, they had to fight their way back to the ships. The technicals, the skinnies, were fighting them all the way back to their ship. So this is not the first time this kind of thing has happened. But it's just that it's so strategic in where or when it's happening. It's happening when this pandemic and the world economy is shaky. It's happening when there's been an insurrection already in the city of Washington, D.C. earlier this year, where, you know, some insurrectionists took over the Capitol building for a few hours. It's coming at a time that definitely, as it was in the book of Daniel, where Belteshazzar and all his royal court were in there dining, you know, pretending that the Persian army would never be able to breach the walls of Babylon. And they seen the handwriting on the wall, because you know, Yah was just fed up when he seen them taking the sacred vessels that had been stolen by the Babylonians, and they were drinking out of them, and thereby debasing Yah, and showing that they didn't think he had any power. Yah literally took his hand and wrote in their language, which goes to prove that, you know, Yah, we have to be very careful with this, this name thing, where we say that everybody gotta understand Hebrew and all these different things. Yah didn't want them to he didn't want to be misunderstood, so he spoke in their language to let them know that their kingdom was debased. It was no good no more. He of course, the king had to get Daniel to come in and and interpret it, because he was trying to find out what does he mean. You know, you have been weighed in the balance and found wanting. What does that mean to me? We are great. We haven't done anything wrong. And then Daniel went about to explain to him what the message meant. It wasn't that he didn't understand the language. It's that he didn't understand the meaning. And America does, what's happening with all this stuff, Americans don't seem to have a understanding of meaning, white Americans that is, a meaning of what all this stuff is on that's being showed unto them. They don't understand what the handwriting on the wall is saying. Some of them honestly don't. Some of them do, but they pretend that they don't. But a lot of them don't know what the handwriting on the wall. So Yah is trying to make it patently clear with all the things that he's letting come out. You know, with the like I said, the debacle. But this one has much more ramifications than whatever other conflict that we had before, because it's coming at a time when this is a real global economy. Most people are looking to China for what they need. They look to America for the military impetus in the world, because America still is the military arm of Babylon, of the New World Order. And the New World Order has been here for over 1,000 years. Rome was a new world order. No one had been able to conquer the known world at that time, and be able to hold it down for 1,000 years like Rome. See, Babylon did it, the known world, that is, what you can know, but they wasn't able to hold on to it as many territories as Rome was. And America and the West is the revised Roman Empire. It's revised. It's the beast that rose. You came up out of the sea, but it's in a different iteration right now. But it's at the iteration of the iron and the miry clay coming apart, because it said that they would not be able to mix together for so long. We're at that point, and that's why this is so significant, because it's coming, you know, just as what was supposed to be the best healthcare system in the world is falling apart, which wasn't really health care, it was health sustaining. Because most Americans, if you take away their medications, they would probably die. We're one of the most unhealthy nations there is. We're one of the most toxic nations there is, with, you know, this thing going on with the water supply out there in Colorado, the Colorado River. This is very, very, very troubling, right? Along with this stuff in Afghanistan, because this stuff is going to affect this thing in Afghanistan is going to affect a lot of Afghanistan veterans that realized that they had loved ones that got killed over there. Well, not loved ones, they fellow soldiers that got killed over there. Mothers, fathers that had loved ones that were killed over there. Soldiers that were wounded, some minor, some really bad. And you mark my words that there's gonna be an increase in suicides amongst them. I mean, that's not to say they wasn't doing it already. Suicides among veterans was already pretty high, but with this, whenever it does, the withdrawal finish, no matter how long, you know, no telling how long that's going to be, you know, in the final outcome, you're going to have a lot of veterans either going to commit suicide or going to lose their mind, and they're going to start hitting the streets, and you're just going to have another generation that's gonna be out there wandering, running into the night, wondering why did I waste so much of my time, my life, doing what I thought for this country. But it's all an illusion. It's all an illusion. The devil meant it to be this way. And all this patriotic talk and all this stuff. When I went over there to Somalia in 93, 94, I thought, hey, I'm finally on a mission where I can help people that look like me. Even though now I understand that the Somalis are Hamitic people, and their understanding of different things is different than me, and even when I was over there, a couple of times when I did have some conversations with some of the village people, they used to call black people, they used to call us mulis, which is a derogatory term that in Italian, which basically would be equivalent to somebody being called a nigger. And I'm like, I'm looking at these Somali people, man, and these people are dark. I'm telling you, they're beautiful people. I'm saying they it's funny, they have the kind of wavy kind of hair, but their skin is really dark, but they don't have no blemishes on it. They're very slim, most of them. And I think that probably was because, of course, they wasn't eating nutritionally what like they needed to be, right? But they were way darker than me. And I'm like, they got the nerve to call me basically a nigga. But yeah, so still I felt that, they're still black, they're still in need, and it's mostly the women and children that was in need. And I was like, yeah, but it seemed like from the very get-go, the United States military was not really interested in, doing anything for the country. There was a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse over there. Basically the same thing that was going on in Afghanistan over these last 20 years. It was I seen a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse going on. So this thing where they found out they've been spending over $300 million a day for 20 years, it's not no surprise to me. Again, Smedley Butler, Marine Corps general, who wrote the book War is a Racket, can tell you better than anybody. It's about money. And so my heart does go out to a lot of these veterans, but what you gotta understand in your mind, you gotta understand that patriotism is anti-Yah. Patriotism is worshiping the God of forces. And that's why this country puts so much money into the military. It worships the God of forces. It is the military arm of the New World Order. It is revised Rome. They basically divided the Roman empire into three. Like we stated in one of our videos before, America is the military arm, Rome is the religious arm, and England is the economic arm. But they're ready to collapse all that into another phase of the New World Order. So this is just another phase. This is not a new world order. It's just another phase of it. This is the phase that they're going into to try to unite the whole world together, and they can't have too much strength in any one country. They got to have the world galvanized for the event that's going to come when Yeshua breaks the skies, and they need to be uniting. So what they doing, they also working against Islam right now, because with the impetus on the Taliban being so brutal, this is going to make the Islamic leaders have to reevaluate their stance or whatever, and soften their stance. Now that's not to say that the Taliban are going to soften their state, but this is going to be used just like they've been used to bring down Christianity, because Christianity was their invention. That's not to say that some of the message in Christianity was not of Yah. It was, but what Yah does, he works with what is here on earth, just like in Israel. Most of the time that our people were in the land, they were not worshiping Yah. It was very few of them that was worshiping Yah. That's just plain fact of the matter, that while we were in the land, Are we? And of course, it's bigger than that little strip that they got over there in what they call the Levant. It's bigger than that. But while we were there, we was not worshiping and honoring Yah for the most part, because if you read the Bible, you see all the wicked kings they had and all the different things that Yah let happen. He let the Midianites oppress us. He let the Syrians oppress us. He let the Assyrians oppress us. The Babylonians oppress us. He let all this happen. And still, he said it would always just be a remnant of people that would be doing right. So we were put in this situation and was supposed to be an example to the Gentiles that, hey, if Yah did his own people like this, you better stay in line. But not only did they not stay in line, but they hijacked our identity. They hijacked the message. They didn't take out the Yeshua part, the Jesus part. They kept that part in, but they put in the part with the arms, with the weapons, right? First bring in the cross and then bring in the sword, right? The cross and the switchblade, right? So no, but also remember that the devil cannot do anything without Yah's permission. So what is kind of confusing sometimes is when you see these things, is this Yah operating or is this the devil? Well, I would say if it's the devil, it's really also Yah, because the devil cannot do anything without Yah permission. Even when Yah took down King Ahab, he said, well, who gonna take down King Ahab? And they said a evil spirit, a lying spirit came before the throne and said, my master, I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of Ahab prophet to go out and fight against the Syrian army and along with the king of Judah and think that they're gonna win. And he said, go and you shall succeed. And that's what happened. They went up against the army. A lying spirit went in and said, hey, you're gonna succeed in the king of Israel. And the crazy thing about it was Ahab told the king of Judah, he said, look, let's switch up clothes. You wear my clothes, I wear your clothes. This was a definite lying spirit that was trying to take out both. But the Bible said that Archer drew a bow by chance and struck Ahab in the thigh or something like that, and they said he rode into Jezreel and died in the evening, and they washed out the blood out his chariot, and it was just like and the dogs was licking up the blood, just like Yah had told Elijah about after Ahab had killed Naboth, the innocent blood. Exactly what Yah said, the dogs will be licking the blood up of Ahab. And so it was a lying spirit that went in, you know, there's a lying spirit in Biden's mouth when he said, oh, we went over there for just to get Osama bin Laden and disrupt the Al-Qaeda. That was a lying spirit. It's a lying spirit in all their mouth, because they knew what they was going over there to do. They were going over there to try to, again, establish themselves over there, because everybody wants to be there in their area. They want to hang around that area. That's why I know it's not in Africa. They want to hang around in that area we call the Middle East, because that's the area Yeshua coming back to. He's not coming back to Africa. When he returns, he's not. He's coming to that area. He's coming back to that area. So he's going to defeat people in that area. It doesn't say about him going into Africa and trampling out the wine press. He talks about Edom, which is the Arabian Peninsula, right? So again, the lying spirits are all over the place. We got to be careful out here. But again, this was meant to be a fatal blow to the American military. And the crazy thing I was talking to my wife about it the other day. I said, isn't it funny that they put a black face on this withdrawal? Because who is the Secretary of Defense? Secretary Austin, black man, first black Secretary of Defense. But then the person that's on the UN Security Council that speaks up when they do military engagements, and it's also a black face. It's a black woman. I think her name is Ambassador Green. I could be wrong, but I know she's a black woman. So once again, they're trying to put our face on this. That's why I know it's some significance about it. But the one time that they do, they know what's going. But then Yah said this. He said that in Revelations, come out from her, my people, and be not partaker of their sins. I think I did a video on that, where I was naming off some of the people black people that the Biden administration had put in place. A lot. I mean, understand what I'm saying. They have somewhat of a say-so, but it's not going to be for the good of anybody, because they have to toe the line. They have to show loyalty. Therefore, to show loyalty, that means they got to do whatever crooked stuff that these people tell them to do to show that are you going to be the first black defense secretary, or are you going to be the first defense secretary that's black? So that means you got to lie, you got to steal, you got to cheat, just to show your loyalty that you're not going to buck the system and say, I'm black first. And so they're even in a more precarious situation. That's why Yah said, come out from among them and be not partaker of their sins. 3 times Yeshua said it in Revelations for a reason, because he knew, especially near the end, that they was going to try to get us tied up. Do you realize that when the Roman Empire in its first iteration was coming down, that you had a lot of black soldiers that were part of the legions? Do you realize a lot of times in the Bible, when you're reading about the soldiers and stuff that came to get Yeshua and other centurions and people that they write about in the New Testament, that some of these are black? Not all of them now. Not all of them. I believe definitely Cornelius was a Italian. He was from, that's why he said he was of the Italian band. He was not a Hebrew that was a Roman citizen. That was clearly spelled out about Paul. That's why Paul, I think that's why Yah through Luke made it clear that, hey, I'm a Benjamite, but I was raised in another country. But I am a Roman citizen. Because if you was under the protection of the Roman army, you was considered to be a Roman, and you was a Roman providence, you was a Roman citizen. But people still had their own identity. But a lot of some of those centurions and people that you read about, some of them, not all of them, were our people. So I want to make that clear, because this thing, and I got caught up in it too. I was duped into this thing of believing King James was a black man, and which again troubled me, because I said, if he was a black man, why was he allowing this stuff, slavery of people that look like him, to go on? I do believe that Queen Charlotte was a Sephardic Jew. I do believe a Jewish. I do believe that. I believe that. I believe some of them, but I believe a lot of what were being shown is just people, that was, and that's why the Bible said, be careful not getting caught up in Yahudim or Jewish fables, because we'll be quick to get caught up into that, just like with some of these pseudepigraphical books that that we are making as canon right alongside, or even surpassing the Bible. I don't hold to that. But let me get back on track about the war. So this is going to like I said, put dissension in the ranks, because the people are going to be like, why should I fight whatever coming war or conflict is going to happen? Why should I fight with all my veracity and maybe die, or my buddies die, or whatever, and all we're gonna do later on is pull out. You got to think about that. You got to think about recruitment. You know what I'm saying? You got to think about parents is gonna want to tell their children to go in the military, and you can say the recruiter and all them can tell you all day that, oh, you're gonna get an MOS, that you're not gonna be likely to go to combat. That's not true. At the end of the day, when I was going through basic training, our drill sergeant told us straight. Some of them were Vietnam veterans, a lot of them were Vietnam era veterans. They stated to us, they said, listen, at the end of the day, whatever job you doing, when you get done with that job, if your job is to cook, if your job is to wash clothes, if your job is to be a mechanic, at the end of the day, when your job is over and the enemy is coming in, everybody picks up a rifle to fight. Our black soldiers found that out in World War II in the Battle of the Bulge, when they delivered the ammo, fuel, and other supplies to the front of the drive into Germany. And they said, look, we lost so many soldiers during the Battle of the Bulge, got captured. Here, we're gonna give you 2 weeks of training, and y'all gonna be fighting right alongside of us as cooks, clerks, all of that. I knew a guy named Raymond that was like that. He was a field artilleryman in World War II. He's dead now, but he was one of a handful of black soldiers. He won back at that time, which was an accomplishment. He showed me his award. He won a Distinguished Service Cross, which is a high medal in the Army. Now I think he received it like later on, from when Clinton and the Clinton administration went back and searched through awards, recommendations that black soldiers had been overlooked for, and they upgraded and say, look, we short y'all back then, we didn't give you the awards. I'm not sure his could have been that. I never got to ask him when he got it, but he had it. So again, but this is why technology is going to play a big role in the thing. This is why they're going to say, look, we cannot want to put American lives on the line like we should. Let's go to more automation. Let's go to more robots. They're not going to totally get away from boots on the ground, but they're going to say we want to use technology more in the future wars, and that way we won't have all these traumatic injuries of our people coming home and have to be taken care of for life, and we won't have all these deaths. If a robot or something get blown up, we can repair it, or we can send a new one out there. But whatever force that they gonna feel for when Yeshua comes and they try to fight him, it's gonna be a highly advanced force. But they have to break this force down. They have to break this iteration of the New World Order, this force down. They had to, in order to create another one, the Phoenix effect, where the Phoenix bird crashes and burns, and out of its ashes comes another Phoenix that's stronger and faster. They had to crash this, and they had to demoralize this system. They had to show that this system is no good anymore, and that they had to go to a different system. And this is why what's going on, whether it's Yah or whether it's them, they make plans for to use what they know is going to happen in the Bible to their advantage. Also, so definitely a lot of these catastrophes and things is the hand of Yah directly, without them. But then some of them are theirs. They try to play the game of chess with Yah when they actually are playing checkers. They think that they're making intelligent moves. Like we said, we're gonna use what Yah used to our advantage. We're gonna make people think it's us with HAARP and everything, which I can agree that HAARP can be part of some of the problems that they're having with these weather. I think some of it, a lot of it is the Father, but they do that to try to make a chess move against Yah to show, look, he said the weapons of warfare are not carnal, but we're here to show you that ours are carnal and that they are also powerful. See, everything that Yah states to us they try to nullify it by doing certain things, like where without the blood of Yeshua, you won't have eternal life. So how do they counter? They counter with cryospheric science. They counter with trying to download your memory into a robot or robot body, like Elon Musk and some of these other rich people, Jeff Bezos, to them that are putting money into this. They try to counter with that. They say this is going to be our eternal life, right? They counter with that. They're going to counter with the brain chip when it talks about wisdom, being able to have wisdom. When they're going to say, if we put this chip in you, we're going to be able to download whatever kind of books, language, whatever into you, and instantly. So they always try to counter against what Yah said, because the devil cannot create, he can only try to mimic. So they're going to mimic everything. So they understand that when the armies of heaven come, the fleshly armors that we have now are not going to be any good. So they have to build a bigger, better human. That's another reason why they're pushing this nanotechnology in the vaccine, because the nanotechnology that they're going to push is not going to just stop with vaccines. It's going to start with where they're going to be able to eject nanoparticles into you, where if you get a cut or you get sick, those nanoparticles will be in there, and they'll be programmed to either accelerate the healing of that wound, or to attack certain kinds of cells that are damaging to your body. Now, of course, in the iteration of them introducing it, some people's body's going to reject it and they're going to die. But they said that's just part of the price of science. That's why they want to get everybody vaccinated, to see they want to see the symptoms. They want to see how they react to certain blood types, phenotypes, and all this stuff. They want to gather all the information, and they understand that everybody's not going to be able to get it. So they understand that with this mass experimentation, with what they're doing with the vaccines and other stuff that they're going to put out, that a lot of people are going to die. But they believe the ones that's going to come out of that, they're going to be able to use their bodies, try to turn them into some kind of cyborg human. That's why they're pushing this asexual thing, where they was like, hey, don't be male, don't be female. We want you to really, in the end, we want you to lose interest in sex altogether, because we just want to be able to produce, we want to be able to produce babies in the lab anyway. We want you to be concerned with being a drone. We want you to be considered to be a drone. That's why one of the ancient symbols in the occult is the beehive, where you have the queen and you have the whatever workers that they have. They don't have sex with the queen. Only a select few are, but the rest of them are just drones. That's why they want it to be asexual, right? Where if you do have sex, it doesn't matter if you male, female, whatever, and eventually we want to program that desire out of you altogether, and just have a bunch of worker drones, and just maybe a few people that's the elite that are procreating the natural way, but everybody else would be a Gattaca, where you would be the offspring would be produced in the lab out of the DNA database that they have. See, the devil, he wants to redo everything on this earth, and he believes if he can get enough people to get in allegiance with him, either Yah would destroy all of this earth, or Yah would just finally say, I just give up on mankind. The devil is that mad to think that way, and he's got enough elite people that control, that he has given power on this earth to think that way, to fool the masses, to knowingly or unknowingly go along with his plan. And the military industrial complex is part of that. That's why Eisenhower said, beware the military industrial complex. The military industrial complex is not concerned with wins and losses, lives lost, lives injured, whatever. Even with the technology that they're putting out to help wounded soldiers, where they're giving them cybernetic arms and legs and eyes and ears and growing stuff. That is a bigger plan, like I said, to produce a army that can go up against the angelic hosts and go up against the saints in there when they come back and the rapture, and their bodies are raptured up out of the ground into their spirit bodies, to become that group that will replace the third of the army of heaven that Satan took. They have to have an army equally that's waiting here on earth that will be able to go up against it. And believe me, it's not just going to involve technology, it's going to also involve the occult. That's why a lot of times these scientific institutions and stuff, they have these occultic symbols, because they want to have the trifecta. They want to have the human input, they want to have the machine input, and they want to have the spiritual or the occult input. A 3-chord strand is hard to break. Therefore, you have machines that can be inhabited by demonic spirits. And if you have those machines in you, you are being inhabited by the technology and the demonic programming that's behind it, that will lead an army to get on the field to fight against the black Jesus, if you want to call him a black Yeshua. Because they're going to say, it's got to be they're gonna tell the people it's gotta be a alien force, because everybody knows that God is white, that Yeshua is white. It's got to be. And unfortunately, it's gonna be a lot of our people that's gonna be caught up in that, just for the emphasis of trying to be part of Babylon. I'm not saying that you should, obviously buy everything hook, line, and sinker that you see out here on the internet, but you do a little research without even going to the camps or going to the assemblies. I would just tell you to get your Bible out, and if you could just take your biases of Yah being white, Yeshua being right, and just study and read history, right? And sometimes it's right there in front of you. They'll tell you this, but our people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because they have rejected. Now they say, we've been dealing with this system of quote-unquote Christianity for close to 2,000 years. It's been working well for us. That's why they don't like nobody saying, use the word God. Use the word God. Don't use the word Yah. Why you using Yah? Why you using Yeshua? Even though those are, and again, I'm not harping on that, because people got to get comfortable. They got to get an understanding of why they're saying it. They can't just go out and say Yah and the Most High. But I do see where more and more of our people from time to time, it'll come out of their mouth. They'll say the Most High. I'm like, when that person start using the word Yah or Most High, which means some of our people are studying, but we don't have long to do this, because even though Satan has his plans and everything, we know that his plans are not going to work. But that doesn't mean that he's not going to carry through. That does not mean that some of our people are not going to get caught up, just like with this war of Afghanistan, because some of our people that went over to that war in Afghanistan, they died. Some of our people that was in that war of Afghanistan went over there, was wounded, in the body or mind or both. And some of our people that was contractors that was over there could still be over there trapped with some of the Americans that was over there. So you can see how we can get caught up in this thing. Some of our people are working some of these labs, some of these military foundations. They're working under government contract. Do you ever wonder how we can lose all these wars and stuff, but yet they'll have a QDR, which is a quarterly defense review, where they plan on how they're going to fight the next war, the war for the next 10 or 20 years, and how much money they're going to need. Oh, we got to fight this way. I'm like, hold up, you had the perfect ground to prove if your QDRs and all that were any good in Iraq and Afghanistan. And do you look at reality and see what happened? Your QDRs are nothing but how much money these defense industries are going to get. It doesn't have anything to do with us going to win or lose. It's how much money is going to be given out. Because I bet you that a lot of the money that they said went to those Afghani soldiers, they said, oh, they had a ghost army. There was people that wasn't showing up. It was a lot of American industries and contractors that got. I think they said they can't really account for the $83 billion that was spent on the Afghan army. I guarantee you, a lot of that money didn't go to them Afghan soldiers. That's not to say that they didn't get paid, but I'm saying a lot of that money, a lot of that equipment or whatever, even some of the equipment that the Taliban got, it was much more equipment that was over there that got sold on the black market by some American soldiers, got sold by some American contractors. Because if you remember, it might have been earlier this year or last year, they put out that report about all this military gear from the military that was being sold online. Where you think that came from? You think that was an Afghan soldier selling it online? No, that was some of our soldiers. That was some of those contractors. It's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse because, again, Eisenhower said, beware the military-industrial complex. It's not about wins or losses. It's all about funding this technology to get to the next iteration of what the military force is going to be, all to have a force fielded to fight against Yeshua when he comes. So they have to try different things out. They gotta put things out. So it's not like these wars are just test tubes to them. Let's see that this system work. Let's see that this whatever work. And that's how they go about it. Oh, they lie. We don't care, but we got enough data. It was the same way in Vietnam. At one time, one of the presidents decided, it was Operation Linebacker 2. It was Nixon. That's what I remember. It was in the early 70s when when they was in peace talks. They started peace talks with the North Vietnamese government, like in the I think it was 1970, 71 or whatever. And so the North Vietnamese government was trying to pump out their chest like, oh, we actually got the Americans come to the peace table. Or we're gonna try to take advantage of this. Nixon said, okay, you think you got the upper hand, all right? Because all throughout the war, the American government was never gave the forces in Vietnam the green light to go into North Vietnam and bomb the capital of Hanoi. It wasn't. Now it was, yeah, they did from time to time. They said it was ringed with too much Russian anti-aircraft missiles and stuff, which is true. It was quite a few, pilots and stuff that met their fate, in death or in a Vietnamese prison camp. But in Operation Linebacker 2, they took the heavy bombers and they just started boom, 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 just bombing Hanoi, bombing north targets in the north. This was in early 70s. It was called Operation Linebacker 2. And within, I guess, a couple of weeks, the North Vietnamese came back to the table and said, okay, what you want now? And it was proven right then that they could have broken the back of North Vietnam and made them capitulate and say, just leave the South alone. But they backed off because somebody probably told Nixon, look, we're not in this thing to win. We're not into this thing to win. We're in for whatever reason. So he backed off. And of course, this drug on until 75. And we understand once they realized they didn't have the resolve to do that again, then they just went in for the kill. Once they understood that. Because actually, during the Tet Offensive in 1967 or whatever, it was either 67 or 68 where the Tet Offensive happened. I can't remember right now. But they said, even though the Viet Cong overrun the South, the Viet Cong lost so many soldiers in the Tet Offensive. They were no longer an effective fighting force against the American troops. They lost. And really at that time, if the press hadn't made it look as a defeat, right, which it was a defeat in the public eye, but militarily they won the battles. They won Khe Sanh. They never withdrew from Khe Sanh. The Marines held their ground, and they was able to draw the enemy out where the bombers could hit them, and they killed. Because at that time, they start understanding, we're going to have to get our actual North Vietnamese army on the field out here. We're going to have to start fielding them out here because the Viet Cong were being decimated. And we were. But again, the powers that be was not concerned about wins or losses. They were concerned about bringing about the iteration of world peace, because what the Bible said, that He's going to come in on a platform of peace, the last one, like they do in every situation. So this is not going to be a one-time thing. This has been happening throughout history, that a person would come in on a platform of peace in order to get you to accept what they did. And so this is going to be the situation with the last Antichrist. He's going to come in on a platform of peace or whatever, and they say, hey, we need to galvanize as a world. We need to get rid of world religions. That's going to be the implosion of the worldwide Islam and Christianity, which were both the two legs of the Daniel statue, the Eastern Roman Empire and the Western Roman Empire. The Eastern Roman Empire, which, yes, you could say it was Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, Greek Orthodox, Armenian Orthodox, but it also had to include Islam in there. You gotta include Islam in there too. And then you had the Western, which is Christianity, Roman Catholicism, and Protestantism. And so they're gonna implode those, right? They're gonna implode those, and the iron mixed with clay, it's not gonna stick together until the mountain, the mountain cut without hands is gonna hit the toes, and the whole thing is gonna come down, and that's when Yeshua is gonna come back and destroy these armies that they're gonna generate from all this chaos, because everything's is moving by the power of Yah. Even the power that their armies have comes from the Holy Spirit. It powers everything. It powers everything. He powers everything. But all power is in the Father's hands. And so when he has had enough, he's gonna send back Yeshua to destroy the armies of the world. And then he's gonna sit down in the city of Jerusalem and rule with a rod of iron. And all their war gear, the Bible said that the spears are going to be turned into pruning hooks. So all this talk of war, they said they're going to study it no more. There's not going to be no more war colleges. There's not going to be none of that no more. So with that, I want you to be encouraged. I want you to remember that all this too will pass. One day the talk of war, talk of peace treaties, all of that, we won't have to worry about that when the Messiah comes and he puts all nations under his feet, right? We ain't gonna study war no more, but right now, we're in this world, so. But just remember, Yeshua said, be encouraged because he has overcome. He's conquered the world, the spiritually. So that's what we gotta be. We gotta be concerned with spiritual victory. Yeshua is gonna take care of the rest. And with that, I want you to give this video a thumbs up. I want you to like it, and I want you to share. Be blessed.